Have you ever heard the saying, I'm a lover, not a fighter? Because of my brain tumour and my brain surgery, I've literally had to live out the existence of a being who says I'm a lover and not a fighter. And today I'm going to bring you on a little journey. I'm going to tell you a little story from this beautiful, tranquil space next to this lovely tree with regards to some of the suffering that I went through post-surgery, some of the most difficult experiences I've had to this date, and some of the most profound insights that I've taken from these experiences. And the reason why I'm sharing these experiences is because I really do feel like they can help the many. And if you're someone who's watching this and perhaps you've had experiences like uncontrollable outbursts while using chemicals like alcohol, or fits of rage, or addiction problems, or post-traumatic issues, or generally just anybody, I feel you might be able to take some sort of message from this. So that's enough with the elongated intro. I am Evan and welcome to Symbiotic Vibration. We're doing very well at the moment in terms of subscribers. So for any of you new subscribers here, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. It's been a beautiful journey thus far, and I have put literally thousands of hours into all of these videos and into my social media platforms. And so to see some following start to come in now has been a very beautiful experience. And if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, please do feel free to, and like the video. And if you want to leave a comment, that would be absolutely appreciated because it helps with the algorithm. And currently I'm moving on towards 1,000 followers, which would be fantastic, but you still have to achieve so many different metrics to even be monetized. And to be honest, I do look forward to the day when I become monetized across platforms, because you know, it would be nice to be rewarded for putting in so much time and effort and sharing so much of my experience with people. So yeah, again, if you are here watching this video, please do feel free to subscribe. But anyway, let's give you a little bit of a backstory before we get into it. I have always been a lover. I was born a very caring man. I always knew that I wanted to help people. Always. It was innate inside of me. I always wanted to study some form of practice that would allow me to help people. And so innately I care about beings, about myself, but nevertheless I did grow up as a young man in Ireland, filled with alcohol in a very drink-heavy culture, and, you know, young boys together filled with testosterone. I did manage my way into multiple fights when I was younger. Nothing outrageous, but yeah, let's just say I've had my fair share of fist fights amongst other boys and other men up until I was in my early 20s. And yeah, I would go and I would have a brain tumor. I would have to go and get some surgery. And if you're interested in any of those stories, my whole channel is full of them, so you will find much information there. But to skip forward, I had to have brain surgery when I was 25, and as I've spoken about many times before, I wasn't able to deal with any of that trauma, any of that experience. I just wanted to fast forward and get back to my life as quickly as I could. I don't know if you can hear the wind and the tree creaking. Oh, and the aperture is quite high, sorry for that. Let's make my face easier to see. So where was I? Yeah, running from trauma, running from my experience, and using all forms of chemicals and behavior patterns in my business and relationships, anything that I could to block out what had happened. And that was quite a difficult experience for me. I really began to feel as though I had lost my masculinity. I hope that doesn't fall. I had lost the ability to fight. Wow, that's bending so much. I love you, don't fall. I lost my ability to fight. Not that I wanted to fight, but I knew I couldn't fight. I felt as though I had lost all masculinity And one of the most difficult experiences that I had during that whole period was feeling like I would be alone forever, feeling that no woman would ever want to be in a relationship with me because I was inadequate physically. I would not be able to defend her children. I would not be able to defend my partner. And that's genuinely how I felt throughout that experience. I felt so ashamed and I felt so sad. But also I felt an unmerciful amount of anger and resentment. And resentment usually spawns from needs unmet, and anger usually spawns from sadness. And those emotions were not displaying themselves while I was sober, ever. I was always masking very well and pretending that everything was okay, and drinking and acting quote unquote normal with those around me, trying to lead a quote unquote normal life, the one that I wanted to live before my brain surgery. But I knew deep down that I was never going to live the normal life again, and for that I am ever so grateful. Nonetheless, I would go and drink a lot of alcohol and consume cocaine and all sorts of different drugs. And I would use cigarettes and caffeine on a daily basis to try and numb everything down, or at least distract myself from my own pain. But while I was drinking, some of these emotions were starting to come out. And I've not spoken about this side of my life on the internet before, so it feels a little bit vulnerable for me to be speaking about these things. But I can think back to 2 experiences, and there was many. I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3 because you might be able to resonate, and it might make you feel a little bit seen. But the first that always sticks to my mind was a night where I was in a pub in Ireland, and I was drinking far too much whiskey and alcohol, and I was having fun. I've always had fun while I'm partying, but during this episode, during this period of my life, I was not having any fun. I was just wearing a mask and I was running from pain. And so this particular night, I started talking to a man who I knew already, and I started getting cheeky with him and kind of slagging him, and it was very unusual behavior from me. And the night went on and we were having fun, and then eventually I had enough whiskey in me to start to ask him if he would fight me. Now, this man knew that I had had brain surgery and he didn't want to fight me, of course, but I was so angry. I was filled with rage and resentment, and I was angry at him for being healthy. I was angry at everyone in there for being healthy, and that I had to experience all of this pain. And so I wanted to take it out on the biggest, strongest guy I could find. And really, I think I just wanted someone to beat the shit out of me, because that pain would be easier to take than my own. And so eventually, after enough egging, he decided to accept the fight. And it was in that very moment that I had a realization, I don't want to fight, And I was very upset with myself, and I just shook his hand and I said sorry, and he gave me a hug, and I cried all the way home. And that was a big, big, big moment in my life, but I wasn't able to witness or contextualize what was happening. I wasn't able to think about that situation as I do now. I wasn't interested in understanding trauma back then. And I'll give you 2 other quick synopsis stories, because that was a long enough one. But I also went drinking with my brother and a good friend of mine in Dublin to see Eddie Vedder and Glenn Hansard. Would you believe the poor man just passed away? And yeah, I ended up biting my friend when we went back to our room that night. I think we started wrestling or something, which again is very unordinary for me, but this period of time that I was going through I was out of control. I was not myself. I was reacting to life from resentment, from anger, from sadness, from pain, from trauma. And so all of my responses, most certainly when I was inebriated, were very much anger orientated, and yeah, I ended up biting my friend's chest really hard, and he got so upset and angry that he didn't even stay in the room that night. Met him the next morning and everything was okay, but you know, I was filled with so much shame after that, and it took me a long time to be able to apologize properly, and to be able to witness myself in those situations, to be able to see behind what was happening, and not to attach those experiences to my identity, because they weren't my identity. It was just the actions of a lost man, of a man in so much pain that he wasn't able to control his own emotions, you know, or himself, and wasn't even able to look at them. And yeah, the third story is very similar, you know. I don't even know the end of it because my family won't tell me, but we all went to Newcastle to watch a football match. Again, all these experiences are a long time ago, you know. It was just within the year or two after my brain surgery, but essentially same issue. I started drinking loads of whiskey during the game, very early in the day, thinking I was cool, big man, look how cool I am. And then fast forward to the end of the night, and I'm blackout drunk, and I'm being carried by my brother, fireman, carried back to my room. I don't remember it. Woke up in the morning. They told me what had happened. I felt ashamed, and I left at 8 o'clock in the morning and found an early house and started drinking again, and got kicked out of an airport in Dublin after returning back because I was too drunk. And this was a cycle I was going through at that time. I felt so ashamed, and I felt so much pain. And honestly, I haven't spoken about this on camera, so it's making me feel a lot of pain right now, and sadness for that version of me who still lives within, you know. It makes me feel like I want to give him a big hug and explain to him what's going on, you know. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I do the work that I do. That's why I've done so much research, and why I've attempted to heal these wounds, because I want to be there for myself, and I want to be there for others who experience the same life paths, or at least similar. And so I've made so many realizations from this, you know. Eventually I realized what was happening. I realized I was in a lot of pain, and so I left my business, and I began to repair. I began to witness, and I began to understand what was happening, and research and digest as much information as possible, and see as many professionals and healers as possible with regards to these situations, and actually unearth this trauma, you know. Eventually coming to the realization that I hadn't lost my masculinity. I had lost the ability to fight, yes, but I also realized that we shouldn't be fighting each other. We're human beings. We're a collective species. We are a higher conscious being on this planet, and we can make a conscious decision not to fight. We don't need to fight one another, and for that I'm eternally grateful for that realization. The realization that through my own pain and through my lack their ability to fight, I've realized that none of us need to fight, and that life is much more beautiful when that is not a possibility. And yeah, there's something very profound within this lesson, you know. It really brought me towards care and loving my species rather than fighting, and rather than visualizing fighting. Or another big one that came from all of this is I used to love watching the UFC. I used to love watching male cockfighting, you know, barbaric blood sport, because I was conditioned to do so, and I thought that was amazing, and Conor McGregor was big at the time. And yeah, through this experience that I've had, I see that with an open eye now. I see the conditioning that the people that are running this planet are merely trying to ensure that we remain divided, and that we remain against one another in competition, when in reality we don't need to fight. And not only fist fight, we don't need to have borders, we don't need to have wars. These are all collective conscious decisions of ours. And I'm just so grateful that I've come to this realization of mine, and that I've had to go through all of this pain and suffering, because on the other end of that pain and suffering lay a very deep connection to all of my species and to my land. And that's why I'm sharing this story today, because if you were watching this and perhaps you needed to see this, and perhaps you resonate deeply with some of those experiences that I have had, and maybe they'll be able to point you in the right direction. And maybe you'll start to realize that it's not you, it's reactions to all of the pain and trauma and suffering that you've been going through throughout your life. And I always say this, but it's not a competition. Just because I've had a brain tumor and brain surgery doesn't mean your childhood isn't important, and all of the trauma that you went through, or anything that you've been through, a breakup or a broken leg or anything that was untreated, you know. It doesn't mean that you're inadequate, or that your trauma is not enough to be looked at, because it really is. And I'll be totally honest with you, in my opinion, I feel as though we are all traumatically troubled here within this game of life that we've been playing, because this world that we live in, the reality that we live in, that we've constructed as a species, does not suit all of us. You know, it does not suit us. A world wherein we have war and we have fighting amongst our species is not a world that I feel we can adjust to. I've said this before, and this saying also resonates very deeply with me now, but it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You know, somebody who can witness their ability to fight, to be a warrior. Someone who can witness the shadow inside, the shadow that has the potential to murder, has the potential to hate, but decides to witness, embody, and choose not to use that hate or that fight, that chooses to remain in the garden. And that literally has become my life due to having brain surgery, due to the lack of their ability to fight. Not that I ever wanted to, but yeah, it's beautiful, you know. And so, look, before I go, I think it's really important for us to recognize that there is always the potential for evil and light, for darkness and light within us. We live within duality. I've said this before, but you know, it's not the knife that kills someone, it's the hands that hold them. And we all have the potential to be evil. We all have the potential to murder. We all have the potential to hate. We all have the potential to do anything that's wrong, but we also have the potential to be beautiful beings of pure and utter light and love. And it's a choice. But that choice comes with work and effort and untangling the chains and unraveling the trauma and releasing it and finding that space within your heart to care for yourself and to care for everyone else. And there's still ways in which I deal with anger and resentment, because those feelings still come up, you know. Someone said to me yesterday that we'll never leave this world completely healed, and I completely resonate with that. There's always going to be flaws, but we can do our best, you know. But what I do is I use the gym as my means of letting out this anger and letting out the resentment. I listen to Tool. I listen to some angry music sometimes in there. And I lift heavy weights and I walk around and I let myself feel like a murderer or a villain or an angry man or someone who would fight someone or someone who would kill someone. And I embody it, not because I want to, but because I want to witness that energy. I want to witness who that is. And I want to let that version of me have its space to vent, have its space to come out in a safe space, in a safe manner. I've also done this during meditation before, or ceremony, should I say, wherein I might set up space and for half an hour I might punch pillows and just let all that anger that's inside of me out and all that resentment. And while I'm doing these things, I'm cluing into what it is that's coming true visually or mentally or emotionally or whatever memory is coming up. Because often when we're leaving out anger or rage or resentment or guilt or whatever it may be. It comes with memories stored in the body, stored in the nervous system, stored in the mind, and it's very pragmatic and practical to witness those memories, to write them down, to write down what the experience was, and so that you know that that energy is in there, and that you're releasing it. And you know, it gives you a platform then to be able to truly release whatever it is that was coming through there, rather than just punching blankets and pillows for the sake of it. But the idea of this ceremony or this practice is to really allow yourself to witness what it is that's coming true, so that you truly can release it. And yeah, I recognize I've been talking for a lot longer than I expected, so if you're still here watching this, I hope that my words have helped you in some way, shape or form. I really love you all, I do. This one has been much harder than I expected it to be, but I felt guided to share this one. So yeah, like I said in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed already, please feel free to. And you know, if you'd like the video, and subscribe and comment, all of these things, they really help me. Subscribing is free, commenting is free, liking is free, but they help me so much, more than you'd ever believe. So if you still are here, by the way, thank you so much. Your watch hours really help my algorithm as well. And yeah, just to have somebody that's still here watching means that somebody just gave me over 20 minutes of their life. And if that somebody is you, then you're amazing and you're beautiful, and I love you, and Symbiotic Vibration loves you. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. So I love you all. I've said that so many times throughout my life and already through this episode, but you really know that I mean it. I'll see you on the next one. I'll be back hopefully soon with the next episode of A Survivor's Guide to Survival. I'm really looking forward to it, but it was a long week for me, so I'm tired and I didn't have the energy to go and do the documentary and stuff. So we'll leave it at that. Goodbye.